welcome back to the second episode of the podcast Eternally Obsessed. I'm your host, Rid, and join me on this podcast as I talk about anything Marvel, Star Wars, or anything else in the media that I'm eternally obsessed with some of your favorite creators. Today's edition for an episode, we're actually not talking about anything specific to Marvel or Star Wars or any other movie. We are actually having our first creator come on here. This is going to be a new series on the podcast called Celestial Creators. You know, this name has to be inspired off of something from Eternals, which helped start the podcast. So it's going to be Celestial Creators. This is just a new series on my podcast where I have a conversation with some supremely good creators that I have met online to just talk about fandom, creating content, Marvel, Star Wars, anything else that they're interested in. This is just a way for me to get to know some of the creators, have just a friendly chat, and also for the creators to it's just a really great collab and a fun time overall. So for our first edition in this new series on my podcast, I have with me Donavan Rose. Donavan, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself and say any words?
Yeah, absolutely, Reed. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk about Marvel and my collection with you, and be the first ever Celestial creator on your podcast. My name is Donavan, like Red said. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Wisconsin. I love Marvel and really a lot of other things like Star Wars, Harry Potter, but obviously I'm eternally obsessed about Marvel. So that's me. I have used Marvel and music to escape from the world of bullies and things like that. So I'm very thankful to Marvel and everybody else, because I've created this connection and met so many people like Red because of TikTok and my platform, and I'm just very thankful for it. So
Yeah, and I'm so thankful that you're here. I love the little reference of eternally obsessed. That was really well played, super smooth. Yeah, this is just gonna be a really casual conversation, not anything formal, just whatever you want to say on your mind, you can just say it and we can talk about it. So, for a bit of Marvel fun, as that is what we're going to be talking about today, your Marvel collection, which as you guys can see in the background is absolutely stunning. That is a dream for everyone to have eventually, is to have a Marvel collection like that. And so that is what we are going to be talking about today. And since we're talking about Marvel, why don't we get into a little bit of icebreakers where, we just get to know a little bit more about your Marvel opinions. So why don't we start off by telling us what's your favorite Marvel movie?
This is a really hard question because, of course, I love most Marvel movies, and especially with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and Eternals, like those are just absolutely top tier Marvel movies. But my heart always goes back to Thor Ragnarok. The music, the plot, the fight scenes, the comedy, it's perfect. I love it. So I'd have to say, just off the top of my head, my heart goes back to Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. Before Eternals came out, Thor Ragnarok was also my favorite Marvel movie. And for every single reason that you mentioned, it's just such a fun movie to watch. I was actually coming back from college yesterday on the train and I was actually watching Thor Ragnarok. So
Oh,
it's a
wow.
movie that, it's just such a comfort movie and it's so much fun. And it's just like a movie you don't have to think too much about, but also at the same time, like the characters are so well done and you get emotionally attached to them. So I have to agree with every point you hit about that movie.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your favorite Marvel TV show? This does not have to be like Disney Plus TV shows only. It could be Netflix, ABC, anything. Just, yeah.
So I honestly think it's kind of tied between two. As crazy as it sounds, a huge Daredevil fan. I saw it for the first time 6 months ago, actually, and I've watched it twice. I'm getting a cosplay, super excited for that. But The Runaways, as much hate as it gets, The Runaways got me into comics. After I watched The Runaways, I got the Marvel Unlimited app and read all the Runaway comics, read some of the Eternals comics. So I really think those two are tied for my favorite shows right now.
That's amazing. I have personally not seen The Runaways. I need to catch up on like the Marvel TV shows beyond just Disney Plus, but I have to agree with Daredevil. I watched the first season, and then for the second season, I binged watched 5 episodes straight. And so I need to finish the second season before No Way Home comes out. But no, I agree. Like Daredevil is a really well done show. And I know with Runaways, I've definitely like heard it's not the best, but
Mhm.
we all find things that some people may not consider the best, but for us it is. And I think that's perfectly okay. And it's really good to hear that like watching Runaways got you into the comics and stuff, because that's a whole another world to explore. But honestly,
Mhm.
like these are such solid choices. Yeah, so let's what are your like top, I know it's hard to decide a top Marvel character, but what are your top three Marvel characters if you had to pick?
So yeah, like you said, it is very hard because there's so many and they all bring so much to the table individually. But Spider-Man, I know the hype of No Way Home, but Spider-Man has literally been somebody that I've loved since I was a kid. He's just so relatable and so, a comfort character. And I've loved him since I was a kid. Even before I loved Marvel, it was Spider-Man. So he's definitely up there. And this is in no particular order. I can't rank one, two, three because they're all amazing. Loki, I have loved Loki since I first saw him, but he keeps getting better and better, and I keep loving him more and more each time I see him. And then it was Wanda, but Kate Bishop is kind of creeping her way up there. Wanda was my favorite MCU woman, but the more I see of Kate Bishop, the more I really love her. So it's kind of tied with Wanda and Kate Bishop, but she's creeping up. So
Solid list. I'd have to say none of these three make it my personally top three. Honestly, I think some of them make it my top 10, but I have a different top three. But however, regardless of my opinions, I think still whatever you said about those characters are honestly correct. A lot of people love Spider-Man, and I can see why. There was actually a tweet yesterday that said, "So what makes Spider-Man so great?" or something like that. And I was like, I feel like such a good question, but also it's like such an obvious answer. It's like you said, like he's a relatable person. Although he's a superhero, he also has like those trials and tribulations as much for a teenager that you can get. Like he's a nerdy person, like he's at it tough in school. All of those things. And I think honestly that's what also makes Spider-Man so much fun to watch, is because when I watch the Spider-Man movies, I was like, oh, it's like these are like the teenager things that like I can relate to. And then him
right.
being a superhero. So honestly, like what you said about Spider-Man is completely correct. And then you also mentioned Loki. Yeah, Loki is a very interesting character for sure. And then yeah, Kate Bishop. I have like such thoughts about Kate Bishop, in the sense that I see a lot of myself in her, but also at the same time, like maybe when I see too much of myself in a character, I turn away from it because I'm like, nah, like that's not those flaws are not me.
Right,
So,
right.
but yeah. What's your top phase for a movie?
So this is, I know I sound so cliche, but it's crazy because each movie that comes out, I'm like, oh, I like this. Oh, this is my favorite. Like Shang-Chi was my favorite when that came out, but Eternals, honestly, like it is amazing. I've watched it 3 times, and once it comes out on January 12th, I'm probably going to watch it every single day, if not more.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, like you said, honestly, I'm personally really happy to hear that because I'm biased to Eternals. But yeah, it's a really beautiful movie. And January 12th is the day that no one will see me from the face of the earth again. What's your top phase four show? This is more Disney Plus specific.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I have to do the cliche. The more they come out, the better they get. Well, What If, I did not really like What If. That is lower on my ranking. But it was Loki, and now it is Hawkeye. I am absolutely loving all the action, the story, oh my gosh, not the cameos, but the references. It's just tugging at my heartstrings and so many emotions. I love it.
What's your favorite episode of Hawkeye so far?
Okay, so we're on episode 4. Episode 4 was amazing. I don't want to say any spoilers, but I loved what happened. Episode 3, though, that's my favorite. Absolutely. That one was just crazy.
I agree. Episode 3 was also my favorite. And I know a lot of people were saying like episode 4 was their favorite, but I don't know. There's just something so mystical about episode 3. Like, I really enjoyed that episode. So yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. That episode 3 is also my favorite Hawkeye episode. And honestly, Hawkeye shaping up to be like one of the best like properties to come out of Marvel, especially in terms of their Disney Plus shows. I always will have a soft spot for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I think Hawkeye would be my second favorite, the way it's going right now. I guess we'll just have to
Yeah.
see how it pays off in the last two episodes.
Yeah, and I wasn't really looking that forward to it because Hawkeye was not one of my favorite characters. So I was just like, I mean, yeah, it's MCU, I'll watch it, but it literally blew me out of the water, surprised me how much I'm loving it. So I'm excited to see what the next two episodes hold.
Yeah, and we will talk more Hawkeye a little bit later into the episode. So my last question for you is a favorite Marvel actor or actresses?
So Elizabeth Olsen, I absolutely love. She actually is so invested in Marvel and in her character, whereas like other people when they're interviewed, they're like, I don't know anything about Marvel, like it's just a role to me. But she literally reads the comics. She knows so much. So I'd have to say I just really love her and how dedicated she is to the role.
That's amazing. Well, it's really been fun to know your different opinions on Marvel. I feel like I share a lot of the same thoughts that you share for everything you said from your movies to the characters, everything in between. And so it's been great to know your Marvel opinions, but let's get into the fun part of this episode, talking about that beautiful collection that you have behind you. So, why don't we just start? Like, tell us a bit about your collection, the story of how you started, why you started. I just want to hear about like what made you want to pursue this beautiful work of art that you have behind you.
Absolutely. So, I've been wanting to start collecting Marvel for years, but I didn't know where to start. And every time I'd bring it up to somebody, they're like, you could spend your money so much better. Like, why do that? And I like to travel, so I'd spend my money on traveling. But COVID hit, and, there was kind of a cease to traveling. And the more I was in my own room, I'm like, this is kind of boring. Like, I need to do something. Maybe I'll start collecting Marvel. So this March, I went to Vegas and I saw a bunch of Marvel stuff in Vegas, and I'm like, I want that. I want that. And I came back, and in April, I started collecting. My first thing was my Captain America shield and my Tesseract. And then I all of a sudden started getting more and more. I said absolutely no Funko Pops at first because I knew that when I got one, I would need them all. And it was a full month. I waited a whole month. That's all that it took until I got a Funko Pop. And then I got one, and I'm like, okay, this is it. Or I got two at the same time. And I'm like, this is it. This is all I'm getting. And here we are, like 7 months later, and I have a few more than those two.
That's so cute. Yeah, honestly that's amazing. Like I feel like when people say that it's cringy to like invest in fandom related things, it's like maybe to you, but why would you say that to someone else? Because what makes you happy is subjective for every person, and I feel like you can't really like you shouldn't judge someone for saying that they want to invest in something, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I just feel like that's really great that you were able to start your collection. And going off of that, what was the first thing that you bought just from Las Vegas, from that Las Vegas trip that really kickstarted it all?
So the first thing that I actually got, hold on, it's actually sitting right here, and this is not something that I had out, it just sits here. I actually got this Marvel Encyclopedia. So it came out this year, and it just has a bunch of different like characters and things like that. So anybody you really want to know in Marvel, you open this up and you can get a full explanation on them. So
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. That's a very thick book, but I'm sure, there's a lot of great information about there for different characters, and it's a very beautiful book indeed. What were the first two Funko Pops that you bought, even after you said that you may not, that you ended
so,
up caving for?
so the first two Funko Pops I bought, they were the Avengers Assemble, Iron Man, and Thor. Let me go
Oh,
grab. I'll go grab them quick. So these are the two first ones that I bought. I got them at an Amazon store at Mall of America. They're Amazon exclusives, and I was like, oh, those are kind of cool. And then I didn't know that there was a set of 6 that they put together. So I'm like, I need all of those. And then I was like, oh, those look really cool. Why don't we get some more?
that's amazing. Yeah, because once you have them, you have to get them all, No.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so cute. Well, from So this kickstarted your collection. Obviously, you have that beautiful collection behind you. I guess my next question, and it could be hard to decide, because you have a lot of things. What is your favorite part of the collection? What is your favorite thing that you've collected so far?
Okay, yeah, that is really hard. I have so many wonderful things, but this is definitely going to be my favorite. And this is my Mark V Iron Man helmet. So it is like fully functional, voice activated, opens, closes. It's super cool. I can put it on.
Yes, please. Would love a demonstration.
So it can open 3 ways. I have a remote, which I don't have right now, but you can use the remote. You can touch it. Or you can be like, Jarvis, open the mask. And then Jarvis will, and close the mask. Oh, like that. But yeah, so this is my favorite item. It is super cool, and I love it. It is definitely the prized item in my collection.
That is a work of art. That's beautiful. It's so reminiscent of Tony Stark, and honestly, like, oh, that's so nice. Like, and the way that it works is also so cool. You have 3 different ways. You can touch
Mhm.
it, or you can do voice activation, which honestly just goes to show like how far like technology has evolved, even in just like creating things that someone can buy a Mark V helmet and then ask Jarvis to open or close it. Obviously, it doesn't come with all of like different cool mechanics that Iron Man has himself in the movies, but I feel like if you're a fan of Tony Stark, having a Mark V helmet would just make you feel one step closer towards the character. So that's just so beautiful. How did you actually get that from? Like, where did you get it from? Where did you find it?
So I actually got it on Etsy. I had spent so much time trying to find it. It was sold out everywhere. It's not like a officially Marvel one, like Marvel licensed. It's just like somebody
Right.
that's who makes. But it is on Etsy. It was like $300, so it's pretty pricey. I had to save up a little bit, but it is definitely worth it. It is amazing. It's so much better than the Marvel Legends ones that I have that are plastic and don't do any of the cool things. But I love all my helmets equally.
No, that's amazing. And that helmet, I feel like you said, if you want to feel one step closer towards the character, I feel like it definitely is a worthwhile investment and it's a truly a work of art. And let's talk about what's your favorite part about being a collector?
My favorite part about being a collector is the community. Like, I've reached so many people who have given me tips, who've helped me out on things that I needed to find. Like, it is amazing. Like, I thought that people would be like, obviously you have scalpers who like, want to steal you for your dollar, everything like that. But there are people who genuinely want to help other collectors, which I think is amazing because in this day and age, you don't find that often, and it is really a community. And I've made some great friendships from it. So
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like it's always important that no matter what you do, you should have a community of people who support you or help you in it. And like you said, sometimes it's difficult to find that community. There's people come in all different backgrounds, identities, and personalities. And once you find people who you can truly fit in with, it's an awesome feeling. And definitely also one of, I feel like my favorite parts about creating content online is sometimes the community I've met through it. So yeah, I can definitely attest to what you said about that, which actually goes into the next question where you mentioned, how do you get everything? Like, well, how, like, is there like a plan? Like, is it just you see something and you're like, I'm gonna buy that? Or how do you find things? Like, I want to kind of know the behind the scenes process of making this beautiful collection because I'm sure it took a lot of work to get everything.
it absolutely did. It takes actually a lot of research because a lot of these things they don't make anymore because I started collecting, this year some things from phase one, phase two, and those they don't sell anymore. So you have to buy resale, which people like to spike up. So it's really kind of research and finding the best deal that you can find. But as far as like getting what I want when I get it, like sometimes I'll just see it and I'll be like, ooh, I need to have that, or I'll be like, you know what, my collection could really use like an Iron Man gauntlet or something like that. But then as far as like Funko Pops go, once I get like one or two of a set. I'm like, I just need to complete this whole set. I can't get any other ones until I get this whole set complete. So it's kind of more strategic for Funko Pops versus, props and things like that. But really, it's kind of just in the spur of the moment. And like, if I'm in the store and I see something Marvel, I'm like, oh, it's Marvel. I don't even care what it is. I'm buying it.
No, I feel like I can relate to that last part. Sometimes I'll go shopping, and for me, I own like more Marvel merch. Like I have a
Mhm.
lot of different shirts. So every time I go to the mall with my friends, I'll go to Hot Topic and then I'll be like, wait, I really like this shirt. And then I'll walk out of Hot Topic with another Marvel shirt to my collection. And then they just keep on building up. And it's like, you know what? I could stop, but these things get me happiness. So
Right.
it's it's a worthwhile investment, like you said. So yeah. Um, I kind of wanted to actually expand on that. So with so many items, like I guess the question is like, why? Like, why do you still keep on collecting and doing this? Like what keeps you going to collect all of these items and sort of just like the reason behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, no, definitely. People think that I'm absolutely crazy, my grandmother included, that I live with. Every time I get a package, she's like, "Are you kidding me?" But honestly, what keeps me going is it's like Christmas every time I get a new collection item, and I feel so much more connected to the world that has gotten me through so much. It's like living in my own Marvel museum, and I would not want anything different. I feel so connected to all the characters that have gotten me through the toughest times in my life. So that's why I continue. And the people that I've connected with online, they love to see every time I get something new. So it makes me happy that they get excited for me. So it's just a whole experience in itself. And I don't think I'll ever stop unless I go bankrupt or something like that. But
Yeah, no, I think that's a really beautiful, honestly, explanation. Like when you collect these things, it does help you feel closer to the world of Marvel that you're in. So my question for you is sometimes when you watch one of the Marvel movies, right? And you come up on a scene and you have that prop with you, do you just like grab the prop and you're like, I'm gonna reenact this scene as I watch it? Like, because I know you have some of the Infinity Gauntlets, so does that ever happen?
Oh, it absolutely happens. Every single time I watch a movie like Iron Man 2, like I'll bring up my Mark 5 and I'll be like, I don't think so, not today. Or the Infinity Gauntlets, yeah, I totally snap them and everything like that every time that comes up on my movie. It's so fun. It makes it like a 4D experience. You're actually in the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, because I'm sure like I feel like if I had all of these things, I would definitely be doing that as well. So definitely like helps you feel more connected to the world of Marvel, the beautiful things. So I actually wanted to get talk about some of your specific pieces of your collection. I know there's so many, but there are a few that when I scroll through TikTok, I'm like, I really want to know more about this one. So yeah, we've already talked about the Mark V, but I'd love to hear next about the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, any of the Infinity Gauntlets. I know you have like three, which is just crazy, but
Yes.
why don't we talk more? Just honestly, it's up to you. Just share what you want to share because I just want to hear more about these pieces, how you got them, like
Yes, I do have all
floor is
three of
yours.
them. Um, I am inevitable, as they'd say. But my favorite one is definitely the Iron Man one. These two right here, they are very not user friendly. Like you can't move the thumbs or fingers or anything like that. It's not that friendly. They're kind of loud. And the stones don't come out or anything like that. It's not that nice. But the
Right.
Iron Man one, you can literally stick your hand in, you can snap it, the stones come out. It's super cool. So I definitely think this is my favorite one um, out of the three.
Would you like to provide a demonstration for the Iron Man one?
Yes, absolutely. I can take those out for you and put them back in. Let me
I would
just.
love to see this the snap.
So, funny story about the snap. I got one of the first ones that came out
Mhm.
and they were defective. So
Oh no.
they snapped. They made a noise the first time you snapped, but now they don't. Um,
Oh.
so yeah, That's the only downfall of this, is it's supposed to make a noise when they snap, but the first batch did not. So now I just have one that doesn't snap, but the stones still come out, and they each make their own individual noise when you put them in.
That's so cool.
That's pretty cool. And you can actually move the fingers, whereas the other ones you can't. So it does have that one defect, but it's still cooler than the other ones in my opinion.
And out of all the stones, which one is your favorite? And if you had the choice to wield, let's say 1 out of the 6, which one would you choose?
Okay, I'm going to get emotional on you here, Red. I would definitely use the time stone, because I would go back in time to the day that my mom was murdered, and I would stop that from happening. But that's what I would do, definitely.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
No, that is totally fine.
But no, I think that, sometimes with these fictional stories, I think that's what it kind of goes back to. Like, sometimes you wish you could be in that world and use some of the things so that you could fix things in your own life. And but that's a very moving answer for sure. But yeah, that's a beautiful 3 Infinity Gauntlets, and the Iron Man one is beautiful. When you see that snap on screen with Tony Stark, like, it really, I'm gonna be honest here, like, Tony Stark there are a lot of Marvel characters that people love that I don't hate. I just don't care for, like, in the sense that they're really great written, but I just don't connect with them. If that makes sense, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
And for me, those characters are like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. They're really great characters, and I love their personalities. I really like seeing them on screen. They're just not my favorite because I just don't connect with them. But Tony Stark, no matter unless you really, really hate him, if you just were like mediocre about him, like, he's a good character, he's a great character, I just never connected with, like, me. When you see that snap, it still really makes you emotional when you like watched it, because every Marvel fan knows Tony Stark was the person that really kickstarted the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's always just really emotional to see that scene, and the fact that you have the item that just was his ending. It's like, yeah, but it's a very cool Infinity Gauntlet.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, Tony Stark is not one of my favorite characters. I don't hate him, but he's just not somebody that I love Iron Man, the hero Iron Man, but Tony Stark himself, he's just not somebody that I really connected with either. So
yeah, but I want to talk about your Funko Pop collection.
Yes.
Top 5 Funko Pops. Would love to see them, and just, again, like, the floor is yours to talk about them, how you got them, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously it changes, I get new ones, and it changes all the time what my favorite ones are. But my favorite ones right now are Makari from Eternals. Let me see. I don't want to take her out of box.
It's okay, don't worry.
But she's running, and like, it's super cool. It's super detailed. Her hair, her like braid and everything, it's just like fly. It is so cool and detailed. I love it. Definitely one of my favorite Eternal Pops. She is one of my favorite Eternals characters too. So, and then this glow in the dark Tony and Morgan Stark. It's just one of my favorites. The glow on Tony and Morgan is beautiful. It just always has a place in my heart.
That's so cute.
Because I love you 3000, and it just makes me emotional.
That's so cute.
This What If Strange Supreme Unleashed. It's pretty gnarly. It's from the What If episode when he like consumes all those crazy beasts over those thousands of years. Wild. And then another Eternals one is Erisham, because this guy is massive. Like, he's 10 inches, and he's wonderful. He's beautiful, detailed, and everything like that. I don't like the character, but I love the Funko Pop, so.
Yeah. No,
and then my favorite one right now is also a pretty big one. Let's see here. Oh, is this guy.
Wow.
This is 18-inch Iron Man. So literally, I'm afraid he's gonna like come to life in the middle of the night or something. He's terrifying, but I love him. So yeah, these are my favorite Funko Pops right now. This guy is my favorite, definitely. I want to put like a little Christmas hat on him,
Oh
Santa
my
hat for
God.
Christmas.
No, you should do that.
That'd be really cute.
You should do that. I'm so here for it. Like Christmas Iron Man. I mean, he's literally the epitome of Christmas. His entire suit is red.
Literally.
He screams. He screams like a mechanical Santa too, because parts of his suit are white, right? So he's like our favorite mechanical Santa. You know, you should give him a little hat. I think that's a really great idea. Put him in the Christmas spirit.
Yes.
No, and then you should like leave him on the front of your bed. So when you wake up Christmas morning, you get scared.
Oh my gosh, I would probably get scared.
That's so funny. But like those are really great Funko Pops. Like Arishem, I still think back when I first saw Arishem on screen, and like he scares me. Like he intimidates me, and he has such a deep voice too. I'm like, this is in the MCU now? Like it's crazy how big the MCU has gotten with someone like Arishem, and it's like, wow. Yeah.
Really
Um,
honest.
and then Makari, my beautiful, beautiful
Oh, yes.
Makari. And I know you also shared the Tony Stark and the Morgan one. Absolutely cute. I really do miss Tony Stark and seeing Morgan, and hopefully we get to see Morgan in the future.
Yeah, me too. I hope we see her a lot.
Yeah. I want to talk again about your Edith glasses because I think that's pretty cool. So would you like to
Yeah.
share those?
Yeah, absolutely. Right here. I wish they like had lights and stuff like that. Maybe in the future I'll get some. But they're still really cool. I put them next to my arc reactor. Proof Tony Stark has a heart. So they go really nice. Complement that. Unfortunately, I can't, didn't kill or anything like that with them, but
No, they like scream Tony Stark. I feel like if you wore those glasses and then you put like a suit and a bow tie, like that's like an instant Tony Stark cosplay. Because I'll actually see your TikToks and then I'll see you in the Edith glasses, and I have to do a double take because I'm like, wait, that's not Tony. They're
they do. They're very Tony Starkish.
Yeah. Let's see. I know you mentioned that you have some WandaVision artifacts that you would
Yes.
love to see those.
So first I have right here. So this is going to be a few things. It's going to have the Scarlet Witch crown. We have Monica Rambeau's sword necklace. Let me see if I can, without breaking anything there.
Oh yeah, please be careful. I will be inserting pictures too for details.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I can send you a picture of this just to make it. So we have the Scarlet Witch crown, Monica Rambeau's sword necklace, and then Wanda and Vision's wedding ring. So that's really cool. I love to add it to my WandaVision collection. And then we have Agatha all along. We have her brooch set, which has her necklace and her brooch. So it's super cool for cosplay. I want to cosplay Nicholas Scratch, who is actually her son. So I think that would be super cool for that.
Yeah, that's very neat. And I love like Scarlet Witch's crown. It's so detailed and like beautifully intricate. Well, that's not a word.
It is now. No,
like,
I know what you mean.
I can't remember either. I was like,
I can't remember it, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. Hopefully, listeners also know. But yeah, it's so beautiful and it's so detailed, and truly, it makes her feel like a witch. Like it screams like chaos magic, just because of that like deep red. Ooh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I love seeing that your collection has it, and it's just sitting there in its little box, and it's just so it's like for the royalty, you know? Yeah. Let's talk about I know you also mentioned you have Yondu's arrow, which rest in peace, Yondu. We will forever miss you. But how would you like to show that?
Yeah, let me go grab that quick. So this is Yondu's arrow. And it's actually a pin, so you can like wear it like on a suit. It has like magnets on it. So you can like wear, I don't know why you would want to wear something this big as a pin, but you can. But it is super cool. It's life size, it's metal. I love Yondu. I love his whole Mary Poppins thing and what he did at the end for Peter Quill. So I definitely love to add it to my collection.
No, it looks beautiful, and Yondu is such a I feel like it's a character we deserve more of, but at the same time, what we got, like, it's such an enjoyable character to watch.
It
That
was
was
a great story arc in his development, and it was a very good conclusion to him. I'm just sad that he's gone.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I feel. That's put it into perfect words, but no, that arrow is gorgeous. Why don't we talk about one of the most famous artifacts come out of Marvel, which is Loki's scepter?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have that here. It is a very heavy, very metal, and very sharp. It actually has these on the end here because it is like super sharp. Like if anybody breaks into my house, I don't need a gun. I don't need anything else. I have Loki's scepter. So and it's life sized. It is very large. And it displays beautifully in my collection. So I love it. And it was one of my first things that I got.
Oh,
So
that's super cool. Have you ever tried mind controlling anyone with it?
I've tried it on my grandma, but she did not really like that. She almost kicked me out. So
That's so cool. Yeah. Um, and I see on your wall behind you that we have a bunch of different documents. And I know that I've seen your room tour. You mentioned that you have the initial Avengers Initiative files as well as the Soviet Accord. So obviously you don't need to take them down, but I would love to sort of just hear, like why did you want to buy these specific things and what was the thought process behind them, getting them? Yeah, just really interested.
So my big secret for anybody who wants these, I didn't pay a dime for these. I got these all online. I really wanted to get them because it really just makes you feel more in the Marvel universe when you're in my room. It's those little things that don't mean a lot, but they add a lot to it. Like if somebody were to come into my room and had no idea what any of this means, they could read the Avengers Initiative files and be like, oh, that shield, that goes to Steve Rogers, who's Captain America, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of not only to kind of like get more in the world, but kind of like information for people who wouldn't necessarily know if they were to be confused.
Honestly, I think that's actually really beautiful, and I sort of just have an extension of question. Is there a story that you're trying to tell with your collection? Maybe the way that it's laid out, like, like you said, people could see the picture of Steve Rogers associated with a shield, like the way that is there like a specific reason you chose the layout, the beautiful layout that's behind you, or is there kind of a story that you're trying to tell with the collection? I think that would be something that, that'd be really interesting to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have to work with the space that I have, but I am kind of trying to it kind of goes from phase one, phase two, phase three, and so on and so forth. Like here we have the Avengers Initiative and all this weapons from phase one and phase two, phase three. Then we go into like Miss Minutes, phase four, and then all the way down there it goes into like Shang-Chi and the Eternals. My Funko Pops here like behind me are all Endgame, and then I want to get I have Infinity War over here, but I want to get them here. I just need more phase four Funko Pops as they come out, and then all of phase four will be on that wall, and then all of the previous phases will be here. But I do kind of want to get them, like organized so people can kind of like, it's more organized. People know exactly what they're looking at. It's not all over the place and things like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's like a really beautiful like way to also take on it, that you kind of take someone like through the four phases of Marvel that we've seen so far with your room. And it, like you said, it really makes someone feel like they're immersed in the world of Marvel as they walk through and see all these different artifacts and see how things have evolved as they go through Marvel. So it's truly like a Marvel mystical.
Exactly.
It's a Marvel landscape, and I just think that's really beautiful that that was sort of your thought process and the reason for the layout. It represents the Marvel Cinematic Universe in its
Exactly.
whole, and I just think that's truly awesome. Um, I guess my last question would be, do you have any advice for collectors, maybe on starting out, maybe once you start out, like how to look for things? Because I'm sure there's people who are aspiring collectors and would love to hear sort of your input on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I was reluctant to start collecting for so long. People were, making me seem like it wouldn't be wise, it wouldn't be worth the money or the time. And I put it off for years, and I regret it so much. If I would have started years ago, imagine how much more I could have now. So if you want to do it, just do it. If it makes you happy, it's your passion. Don't listen to what anybody else says, because you could have a bedroom like this and you could live in paradise every day, what you love. And the only person holding you back is yourself. As far as starting, there's tons of different websites and places to start and look out. Just look for the deals and don't necessarily get on the fear of missing out, because there's always going to be stuff in the future. If you fear on missing out on something that you can't necessarily afford now, don't worry, because you can get it in the future.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And I really like the part where you said, the only thing that's holding you back is yourself. I feel like that's really important. And I know sometimes that people who are nerdy, like, they get this like weird stereotype that like it's cringy or something, but it's really not. It's like goes back to sort of the things we've been talking about. It's like if it makes you happy, you just gotta do it, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for yourself. And I think when you do things for yourself, like that's honestly one of the best things you can do, is to do these small things for yourself. And I'm really happy that you took the time out today to talk about your collection and share this beautiful thing with us. And I would like to end off by sharing you the thing that I'm personally most interested in hearing about, and it's that arcade in the back. I would love to hear the story of where you found that, why you wanted to get a Marvel arcade game. Please, I would love to hear about that arcade.
So I honestly had never imagined of having a Marvel arcade, but I saw it on GameStop. It was on sale for like Black Friday, and I was like, I mean, it would be really cool to add my collection. I bet it's something unique. Like, a lot of these things that I have, other people can have, but I feel like not a lot of people have a Marvel, a whole game system for Marvel in their collection. So I feel like it's unique. It's something that stands out, and it's really fun to play. It has 5 games on it. So I ordered it, and you actually put it all together yourself. It comes with a super cool stool too. But it's super cool. I love to play it. I do it a lot, and it is definitely worth what I bought it for. So
What are some of the games on it? I'm just curious to hear.
so they're basically all it's Capcom versus Marvel. So it is like Street Fighter style games. It's like Marvel characters versus Capcom. There's one with X-Men versus Capcom, and then there's War of the Infinity Gems, where you fight different people and get the Infinity Stones.
Ooh, that sounds fun. So do you like play these games often, or like is it just like something after a long work day you're like, I'm gonna kick back and play some Marvel games?
I mean, I definitely play like my PlayStation and Switch more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I have like Marvel games and stuff on there that I play, but yeah, definitely, it's kind of like late at night, I'll be bored in bed. I'll be like, I haven't played that in a while. Let's go play that. Or, oh, this sounds kind of fun. It's not something that I play daily, but probably
Right.
a couple times a month, I'll whip it out and play it and see if I can get all the Infinity Stones or not.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Well, that sort of wraps up just talking about your collection. If there's any sort of last things that you want to say from your side, the floor is open. But from my side, I feel like I've really gotten to understand your collection a lot more and see all the beautiful different parts of it. And yeah, but if there's anything else you want to add?
No, I think, we've covered pretty much everything, all my favorite things, everything that you wanted to. So, I'm very thankful that we got to discuss all my collection and everything else. So
Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming. But this is not the end of the episode. We have a lot of we have small things from Marvel we want to talk about before this episode drops. This is a big week for Marvel. So I was like, I have a guest. Why don't we just talk about we're getting Hawkeye episode 5, which is gonna have a pretty big cameo from a certain character. And I will say at this point, because we are talking about Hawkeye and Spider-Man No Way Home, this will be spoiler filled, so we can talk about spoilers. We might also be discussing certain leaks that may have come out, especially pertaining to Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you're not interested in hearing any of that, just a spoiler, leak warning, all of that. Just want to make sure that listeners are aware. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this week for Marvel and just your excitement and everything? I want to hear all of it.
Listen, I don't think I've ever been this so excited for like a week. I know that tonight I'm going off of social media until Thursday completely, because I don't want any spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home, which means that I'm not going to be able to discuss Hawkeye with anybody, which is so sad. But it is honestly a huge week for Marvel. We have not the season finale, but the episode before the season finale of Hawkeye, which is huge. And we're said to have a really big cameo. I don't know if it's going to be in the episode or post-credit scene. Either way, it's going to drive everybody mad. And it's the night before No Way Home. So it's going to be absolutely crazy. I don't know if the internet is ready for this week in Marvel.
I know. I definitely attest. Like, I'm so scared for spoilers, but also at the same time, for me, I'm on break right now. So it's just like going to be hard for me to stay off social media. So I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I'll stay on certain platforms and then other platforms not as much. Like, I was thinking, like, because I don't see Spider-Man No Way Home until Saturday. And I'm just like, that's such a long time for me to stay off social media. So I was like, maybe I will stay off Twitter, because I feel like that's the easiest place to get spoiled is on Twitter, because it'll just come on your timeline. But I was like, I think I can stick around on TikTok, like, especially for a few days, because I can just scroll through videos really easily that are Spider-Man No Way Home related. And I was like, Instagram, I'll stick around there too. But I'm just like, I don't want anything spoiled for me more than has already been leaked about this movie, because, oh my God, this movie has been crazy with the amount of leaks that it's been getting. So
honestly, I think more than any movie like ever.
there's just been so many things coming out. But yeah, like you said, for Hawkeye, we're getting a really big villain. Is it okay if I name drop him? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you said spoiler warning.
Yeah, spoiler warning, Kingpin. Guys, we might be getting Kingpin in the MCU, which is crazy, because he's one of like the best like Marvel villains I've seen. And I've only seen one season of Daredevil, and I was like, this guy's so good.
And Vincent coming back, like, that is perfect. If it was anybody else, I would have been so upset. So he is perfect for the role. I'm super excited. I cannot wait. And I know that the finale is after No Way Home, so I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of tie in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, I thought I saw something like fly, and I was like, what's going on? But I also wonder if there's going to be a tie into No Way Home. Like you said, the finale's after, and No Way Home has an alleged cameo from a certain character related to Kingpin, Daredevil. This is not spoiler. Kevin Feige has confirmed that Charlie Cox he's going to be coming into the MCU as Daredevil. We just don't know where, but it would be no surprise if Daredevil pops up for a quick cameo in No Way Home as Peter's lawyer for something. So if he does, I'm so excited to see him, because I really just love Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and he's such an interesting character. So that's something that, if it does happen, I'm very much looking forward to.
Me too.
Yeah, Daredevil is amazing. And yeah, so it's a big week for Marvel fans. Guys, stay safe from spoilers, try your best, and also be respectful of other people. Like with these movies, yes, a lot of people want to watch it opening night, but people have finals this week, people have work, some people may not get to watch it on Thursday, Friday, or even some people may have to wait until the weekend. So just be respectful. If you're going to spoil it, put the spoiler warning. Don't expect people to stay off social media either. I feel like that's a really important conversation that needs to be said, is you cannot expect people to stay off social media, especially if it might be related to their job, or just be respectful of people. So just make sure you guys are being respectful of others. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, make sure you're doing spoiler warnings. There is still a pandemic going on. People can't make it to the movie theaters, and especially with the mass crowds that are going to be opening weekend. So just be courteous to everybody else, because you would not want it spoiled for you. So don't do it for others.
Yeah, no, exactly what you said. Well, that's all I have for the episode today. Donavan, thank you so much for joining me and talking about your collection. It was really great just getting to know you better and learning about that beautiful collection behind you. So thank you so much for taking out your time. And yeah, do you have anything else to say?
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. Who knows, maybe I'll be on in the future too. So we will see what happens. But thank you so much for having me. And thank you guys. Make sure to follow me on TikTok, Instagram. All the social medias are the Donavan Rose.
Yes, make sure to follow Donavan. I will link everything down below. And thank you so much for being on here. of course, I would love to have you on the podcast again to maybe talk about a Marvel project in the future. That would be
Absolutely.
really nice to have. And yeah, all thank you guys so much for tuning in to the technically second official episode of Eternally Obsessed. Thank you so much for all the support that you guys have been just showing me and the podcast. It means so much, means the absolute world. And yeah, if you are interested in coming onto the podcast, you can either fill out the Google form. That's one of the best ways for just me to see everything. If Make sure to follow the podcast and all its socials. And thank you so much for the support and really excited to see where the podcast goes. And Donavan, thank you so much for being on here. And yeah, have a good day, everyone. Okay, I'm gonna wait. What?